Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. And in this video I'm carving these guys. So continuing in the spirit of candy and all that, that one just wants to keep falling down. I decided to carve these little peppermints. And that one's just gonna stay falling down. But I'm gonna carve these little peppermints. And normally peppermints are just like these little circle things, and you know, they're kind of boring. So I decided to carve a face in them and decided to go with a one-eyed peppermint person thing. So yeah, that's what we're gonna be carving today. For the wood, it is a 1 by 1 by 1/2 inch thick piece of wood. This one would be aspen. All I did besides that was found the center and then hand drawn the circle. If you want to, you can use a compass, so find the center and then just make a more perfect circle. But I just did it roughly just to give myself a reference point. But besides that, that is pretty much the only dimensions you need. Just make sure your knife is nice and sharp, and then you have your glove on so you can protect your hands. And then the only other thing I'm going to say is, since these are actually quite small, I am not fully sure how well my fingers are going to be able to keep away from the or how well I can keep my fingers out from being in the way of the camera. So I'm just going to say it right up front. My first thing I'm going to do is carve away this excess just so I have the leftover circle. And that's going to be the first thing from there. After that, I'll carve the rest of the details, but I just want to say that right up front just in case the fingers get in the way. Anyway, let's get to it. So here's the final product. Now, for how I got the stripes on these guys is I just hand painted the stripes on, as you can see. And I think it turned out pretty well. But I guess if you want to, you could always carve the stripes on if you really wanted to. I didn't, I like them painted, so I'm gonna stick with that, but that's an option. And yeah, that's it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe if you want to, and I hope you all have a good day. See ya.